One thing that a lot of people struggle with is kind of like what interventions to write. And that's where maybe you're concerned about, does it sound clinical enough? Does it sound like, professional enough? Or maybe after the session, you're like, I don't know. I just don't know how to put it into words. And that's why it takes so long, right? And you just sit there kind of with the blank page trying to figure out what you did. So one thing I like to think of is the grandma rule. So I call this the grandma rule. And this helps you kind of determine, like, is this relevant to put in a note? Because I tend to be one of those people that will write a lot. I'll just because I can type really fast, and most people are on either end of the spectrum. You write very little or too much, right? We all want to kind of try to be in the middle. But the grandma rule is really thinking, so someone is paying you to do therapy, right? You are being paid to provide therapy to this person. And that means that you have special skills. You have special training, knowledge, and what you're doing in session is a lot of different things. You're doing the basic human interaction piece. You're making eye contact, you're building rapport, you're offering empathy, my mind went blank, but you're doing these kind of basic things you would expect in any human interaction. So if it's something that you would expect someone's grandmother, assuming we have a good relationship with grandma, right? If you would expect someone's grandma to do that for them, that's likely something you don't need to include in your note. So I would see a lot of people talking about things like active listening, like writing the phrase active listening in their note. Well, honestly, I have a good relationship with my grandmother. If I talk to her, I kind of expect that she's actively listening to me. If I pay a therapist, I kind of expect they're actively listening to me, right? That's kind of a given. So you want to think about the other things, the other types of interventions that you're providing that are specific to you, that require you to have a master's degree, right? To be able to see somebody. That's the type of stuff we want to focus on in our note. It doesn't mean, and again, there's never a black and white rule with notes. So it doesn't mean that might not be appropriate to talk about those other things with certain clients. But I would say in general, those aren't things that most people are expecting to be the sole purpose of therapy.